So we are back with a brand new game for Rants and Review, and this is the OP's game in partner with Lumberjacks called A.R.T Project, A.R.T Project, which I believe stands for Art Recovery Task Force Project, which is pretty cool. So this is a game where you are stealing artwork back from art thieves. You're fighting against a group of people called the White Hand, and I just learned it's Art Rescue Team, not Recovery Task Force, although, you know, it's pretty close. It's a cooperative game where you work with your other players, and we're talking about 1 to 6 players, 12 and up, and they say the game should take about 40 minutes. And then also, this one includes a limited edition poster, which is a launch special. I love the art style of this, very cool. And it is a unique length box. So you got a little dossier here. You got a round reference guide, 1 sheet, really nice. And then you have a rule book, and this is really cool what they did here. They put tabs so you can open it up specifically to areas you need to get to. And it's well illustrated, very high quality cardstock for that, really amazing. Then we have cards. This, I'm guessing, is the poster. Yeah, that's the poster. That's the game art right there. Lumberjack Studios presents the Art Project. Very, very cool. Well, if you're a big fan of posters, this is a really cool design, especially if you really like the art for the cover. And we got a postcard here. And then we've got a myriad of things, which includes a game board, another game board, another game board, and then you have your punch-out tokens. So this is like a postcard, hand token. You got little hand tokens, which I assume represents the White Hand from the game, the villain. And then there is a bus. I'm guessing the Art Project team's bus. Inside this Ziploc bag, got a large silica packet. Make sure to throw this out so you don't have any pets or babies in the household that eat it. You've got so many tokens here, all of which with bags inside of bags. So we've got chess pieces here, hearts here, white hands here. We've got fuel, it looks like guns, and then walkie-talkies. We've got crates. These are really well made, by the way. It's just really cool. And then just a ton of dice. So the game itself has 6 specific boards, and each of them have different maps, styles, and rules. But for the most part, they're all just really kind of fun. Let's start with a slightly easier one. This one is Brazil. So on the game, each players are going to take their card that represents them. So there are player tokens specifically for players. You have this punk girl, this Hawaiian Santa Claus, looks like a blind wolf owner, female ninja, schoolgirl, and a badass archer. And so each of these correspond with a chess piece. So let's just pretend that we're taking Hawaiian Santa Claus as my player. As you can see here, it's going to be the pawn. And you can place that in the starting city. Also, depending on the difficulty of the game, you're given hearts. These represent your life. On a basic easy game, regular game, it's 3 hearts. You can increase that to 4 or decrease that down to 1 to affect the difficulty of the game. While the game can be played with 5 to 6 players, they do say that will be a little bit more difficult to play. The sweet spot is kind of 3 and 4. Those give you the kind of the ability to play, but also understand it. You're going to place 2 hands in every single city at the start of the game. And those represent agents that you're going to fight. You're going to take the deck of cards, which represent clues, and you're going to shuffle them up. Then you're going to take the last 12 You're going to take the end player token, place it on top of it, and then place that underneath the deck. All players are going to draw 2 cards at the beginning of their turns, at the very beginning of the round, and they get to look at these cards but not show them to other players. Generally, what you're going to do is you're going to be looking at the top of these, because these cards here indicate clues to where a package is, a art piece. Once you've collected 3 at the end of a round, you will then match them up and then put art packages on the board. And then the ability to get those packages are going to be based on taking over control and defeating the people in the city to get the item. But to start with, you get to choose one. So look at the pieces, see what you want to do, and then do that. Certain ones cost resources, certain ones give resources, depending on how it works. All players get to choose theirs. They can basically talk about their card, but they can't show it. Like saying, "Hey, I'm gonna need this, or I'm gonna die. I need that or that." Whatever the resource you need. You only have a certain number of resources at the beginning of the game. So like, for instance, 3 fuel, 3 gun, and 3 walkie-talkies. Resources are finite. There's only 6 of each inside the game. To keep that in mind when you're playing. On your turn, you reveal the card in the order that the players decide to do them in, and you will go through the process of the card. For instance, this one, the first level, I don't have to spend any resources, but on the next stage, I do have to place another agent in the corresponding city to the design, so it goes right there. Then the next part would be I would get another fuel that gets added to the car for the cumulative spending, and so on and so forth. As you proceed through the game, the next player would choose theirs, and they go, okay, we want this card because we're getting more clues. So on their turn, they would place this down. They'd have to spend a gun to be able to get to that. They have to place an agent in this city, and then they get no resources. So that would still get flipped over at the end, and then we have 3 clues towards this city. So that would mean that these get taken, discarded. Even if there are other clues that we can get from them, as soon as you have 3, it instantly affects and happens, and then that is placed there. Next, what happens is that we can spend fuel to move. Like for every space you move, you have to spend a fuel. So that gets spent for me to move here. And now I'm in this city with the agents in the package. I can win the art piece by defeating the agents in the city. And the way that's going to work is I'm going to take a number of dice that benefit me versus a number of dice that affect them. So I have my color die, which would be this one here. And then I have to beat a number equal to the number on the board here, first one, which is 6. So they have a difficulty of 6 to beat, plus the number of agents in the room, which is 2, plus anyone that's in the hand city for lost cities. There's none in there. So our total that we're dealing with is I have to beat a roll of 8. So this is where it gets a little tricky. The only way that I am going to defeat him with this sitting as currently is if I spend walkie-talkies. To get aid of an extra die, you would have to spend walkie-talkies equal to the number on the very top of the board, which as you can see here, like as you go down lower, it gets easier. It's 3 here, but where we are currently, it is 6. I don't have enough walkie-talkies to do that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a straight roll, hope I get a high roll, and then I'm going to spend other features that let me to basically do what I need to do. So unfortunately, I got a 2. So here, I could spend these 2 guns to add +2 for each and raise it up to a 6, but it's not going to be enough for what I need. So I have lost this combat. Another really cool thing I can do is I can actually spend hearts to get extra items and resources. So I could spend these 2 guns to raise me to 6, and then I can spend a heart to get another gun to raise me to 8. And then that is enough to defeat the agents in the city, to take the prize package and place it there. Now, doing so is going to have an effect that changes the game. Putting that prize package there is going to raise the difficulty of the people to fight. It's going to make it easier for me to get allies. But that's pretty much the basis of how the game is played. It's all about, you know, trying to solve for clues, collecting clues to reveal prizes, art pieces, then moving around the board, then fighting the villains, the agents, and then collecting the art packages and raising up the board as you go through. I said some boards have specific additional rules. There are additional rules for this one. I won't go through that because they're all different. Every one of the boards is different. So they have additional features and benefits. But it's all about collecting all those packages. So if you cannot place a defeated city, if you cannot place an agent on the board when you have to, if you run out of health and die, the game is over. If you run out of cards on the deck and you haven't defeated the game is over. I will specifically say, though, that if you can make it all the way to the end by getting all the art pieces all the way to the top of the tracker, then you win and the game is over. And so it's a really kind of fun-paced cumulative game. It's one thing that kind of reminds me of is like the Forbidden Island type games, except there's a lot less movement, a lot less feeling like you're being buried, and it's more like collectively and creatively thinking up your plan of how you're going to take over areas. Some areas you might want to take over, remove the agents from it, but you don't get prize like art pieces for it to be able to tracker. But you still need to do it because if any of these cities get 5 agents on them, you lose the city. And that's going to increase constantly and make it more difficult to win the game, as well as you can't travel through those cities at all. So it's very fast-paced. You cannot put a package on a city that already has a package, but you have to discard the clues if you collect them. So if I had left that package there and we'd gotten 3 more art pieces, like painting clues, then it would put that back on there. So there's a lot of that kind of like making the right choice cumulatively as a group and playing things as it's appropriate. So that's a lot of really fun, fast-paced things. If you have a group of friends that you play games with that work well as a team, this is going to be a great game. It's very simplistic, but also very complex and a lot of fun. So there's a lot of really good features to this. Hopefully you guys found this interesting. Hopefully you guys pick up this one for yourself, and we'll see you guys next time.